Hello ma'am and welcome to my presentation of the POE. In this video, I'll be outlining the most important code and the techniques I used to ensure that the POE works as intended, as well as the techniques used to ensure that. Firstly, I'll be explaining the data task.cs. In this file, we store the NLP logic, the tasks and activity log logic as well. But we separate all of those tasks into different CS files. And the user task.cs will integrate with the database to ensure that all of those tasks are completed. Okay, so firstly, we connect the data source. We link our database with the user task.cs file. And then we initialize the database by checking to see whether it exists. If it doesn't exist, then we create the database. The database name is task.db, and then there's the SQL to ensure that we create the table that is required. And then if we encounter an error, to ensure that we do not disrupt the processes and the runtime of the POE or of the application, not the POE, we just we throw in a message. And then when the user wants to add a task, we insert into the database. So this is the create out of the crude logic. Another task that we will be implementing in the user task.cs is the select statement using SQL. So what this will do is get all tasks and display all the tasks to the user. And then we also use catch exception just in case we encounter an error. So this is to ensure that it does not disturb anything and does not disturb the runtime of the application. The third function that we'll be using as the SQL statement is the update statement. So when a user wants to mark as completed, the initial case is the task is pending. So when we want to override that, we will update the task status. So this is the U in crude update. And then we update the necessary task that is required for the user. Another SQL query that we'll be using is the delete statement. So when a user wants to delete the task from the database, we will be implementing the delete query to ensure that the task is deleted successfully. In this case of the NLP logic, when we are unsure if the user wants a date added to the reminder, we will save the reminder task as pending. And then we will take any string that is indicating that they want a date added. And then we will add it to the database with the date and display an appropriate message. In this section, we take any string or any indication words that the user wants a task added to the database. So add task, create task, new task, remind me to, set reminder, add reminder. No, I need to. Any of these words are words that indicate that the user wants a task added to the database. So we will extract the date as a string. We will first convert the date into a string, and then we will add it to the database. And another thing that we also check is if the date has been entered. If the date has not been entered, then the boolean has date will be false. And then, yeah, we strip command words to ensure that no unnecessary words are added to the database. So yeah, set a reminder. These are any command words that the user may prompt the chatbot to enter into the database that are not required. So we remove them from the string to ensure that we have a clean line of string that we can enter into the database. In this section, this is the view tasks command. So if the user enters any words that indicate that they want to view their tasks, such as view task, show task, list task, and show tasks, it's going to use the SQL command statement, and it is going to also store the user's date just in case they want to save the date as well. And then if they do not have a tasks, then it is going to gracefully show an error saying they do not have any tasks. So if they have 0 tasks, it is going to fetch the index of the task count, and then it is going to display 0 tasks. And then if they do not have a reminder, it is going to also show the same thing and say no reminder set for the task yet. In this section, I'll be explaining the helpers. So the helpers will help the NLP detect natural language, and then it will also help the NLP collect the date and convert them into a usable string that we can store reliably into the database. So it returns a year, month, and date string if we can't really recognize the date. And then it will also implement a regex method to ensure that no unnecessary strings are input into the database. In this section, I'll be explaining the activity log. The activity log will be the activity logic. So firstly, I create the read-only section that will create the activity log.txt file. So everything that the user does will be stored into the local storage and into the text file. The reason why local storage and text file is I don't think that it is necessary to store all the activities within the database. It's very tedious to do that. So a simpler version will just be to create a text file and then to read and write from the text file when necessary. So what we will do is we will store all the sessions in the date, month, and second format. And then we will read and write all of those when necessary based on who the user is. And then whenever needed, we store those sessions. This is my quiz logic. In this quiz, we will be storing all the quiz questions, answers, as well as the simple UI that the user will interact with. So these are the questions that will be displayed. What is the main purpose of encryption? This is the first question. Most of these questions will be shuffled to ensure that they do not continue in sequence to one another constantly, and to ensure that the quiz is not static, it is more dynamic for the user. So we are storing most of these questions, all of these questions in this manner. And then this is the shuffle questions. So we decrement, we start at the end and then we decrement each. We are counting in how many questions are left. The last class that I will be explaining is the task.xaml.cs. So in this file, this is all of the logic for the tasks. It will sync with the user task.cs file to ensure that all of the tasks are saved into the database.